Hello everyone, it's nice to see you all. I hope you're all doing very, very well today. It's still kind of Tuesday. I always feel like Tuesday is like the worst day of the week. Cause at least with Monday, it's like, it's gonna be rough because it's the furthest day from the day off. But at least the day before, you had a nice relaxing day. Tuesday is like, it's not the midpoint that you can be like, I'm through the midpoint of the week now, I can relax. Or not relax, but I'm getting there. It's almost done. And obviously Thursday and Friday you have the weekend coming, so you can feel a little bit of energy with that. You can feel yourself kind of nice and happy over that. But with Tuesday, it's just kind of like, what do I do? What do I have to feel happy about? It's Tuesday. Ruadh, I move tomorrow. Hello, Banana. It's nice to see you. Cool. Big move. Big moves. You're making a big move. I do hope it goes well, though. I do hope it goes very, very well. Ooh, I am going to... I saw a big move to big city. Oh, you're moving to the big city. You're gonna make it big in the big city. You're gonna start making big moves in the big city. I'm just repeating, like, I go for like the next 10 minutes just repeating the same words over and over of big and something. Hello, Casey. It's nice to see you. Ruadh, hi, hello, Lumi, hello, hi, Haru, wow, I wanna cry. Did you get your bank account stolen again? I guess that's better than crying. You just grabbing my chest like that. Comfort me with your tits, okay. I think I know why you're crying though. Did the new lads guy? Yeah, he got cancelled, didn't he? Valco? I saw your update about that on I randomly get notifications when you update your thing. Hello, Rory, it's nice to see you. Excuse me, I'm crying. Oh, I'm sorry, Haru. Fine, I'll give you a hug. I'm sending you a hug. You just woke up and saw they cancelled right when you woke up. Ugh. Was the backlash really that bad that lads had to completely cancel him? Like surely you can be like, hang on, let's make sure that, all this effort that's gone into him, like, that seems very hasty to do so. Chinese femcells harassed everyone. Even the devs were crying. Oh, wow. Why didn't they like him exactly? Why were they not big fans of his? Like, what was it about? Was it that he was a dog? Do they not like dog boys over there? Any Morrowind this week? I'm not entirely sure. I'll see. I'm gonna try and do Darkest Dungeon again tomorrow. Tomorrow? No, I'm getting food tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, I'll see. But probably Thursday. Cultural issues and former issues from the company, also his appearance in some way. I see. They think he looks too Western. Interesting. What happened? A new lad's character got revealed. Can you oh yeah, it is actually getting kind of loud. I apologize. That will be better. I think I probably made it. I think it kind of varies in sound. I could actually, like, what I might do later is I might put a limiter on it. It's just as loud as you are. Oh, I'm sorry, Lumi. I'm sorry. I usually turn it off anyway. Oh, let's get the fire in the background as well. Can't hear it, but it'll be nice when I'm reading. Thank you for the head pad, Lumi. There was a new lads character made, Lumi. Love in Deep Space. And I guess certain fans just really, really, really disliked him. And they started crashing out to the point that now apparently they've cancelled that character, which must be insane, because I imagine Lads isn't something that they regularly add new characters to. Some got sent death threats. Yeah, what hell? The fault lies in the company, but it's so unfair how the fans harassed the character and everyone who liked him. Heh? It does seem a little... They threatened the employees. Yeah, that's... Over a pup boyo? Yeah, apparently. It's not a good situation. It's not a good situation at all. Some fans are very, very protective of their thing. It's a weird situation. I'll have to like look into why they hated him so much. It's so unfair, very parasocial. Oh yeah, it's extremely parasocial. Is strong in those. Perhaps it is. You know what? I'm actually gonna grab some water. My voice feels a little bit dry. Give me a moment. I have returned. Where are my Weber? I need my Webers in chat. Oh, I got some nice fridge water, so you know it's nice and cold. No, Casey, don't pinch me. I said Webers, not pinch. I said Webers, not pinch. Why drag him like everyone who likes him and harasses them? Ruadh, restart stream. I'm at a 6/7 stream streak. I don't think it would work. I'd have to wait like 30 minutes to do so. Something called 713 incident and something about inviting a wolf in the main character's house, which means something bad in China or something. Inviting a wolf into the main character's house. What is Little Red Riding Hood like really popular in China? Is Little Red Riding Hood like the most popular fairy tale over there? And it's like, don't you dare invite a wolf into this house. I assume it's something very specific, but what if that was the case? They just saw Red Riding Hood and they were like, that's a really good story. We're going to tell all our children about it. And now like everyone in China is like viciously afraid of wolves. Means something bad, apparently. Oh, I see. So they know, so the fault lies on them. I get what you mean, like you're saying that they should have prepared things a bit better. They should have had things more sussed out of ways that people would have reacted poorly. I'm guessing you mean doesn't justify all the shit. It may be like inviting a predator into your house or something. Maybe that's what it is. That could be what it is. I'll have to like look up later. Something like that. Damn, so they hate wolf boys, not puppy boys. They hate wolf boys. Damn. Do I know any wolves? Oh no, they'd hate Wolfie. they'd hate Wolfie if he was still streaming. They wouldn't dare invite him into his house. But no, that's very interesting. 713 is like the 7-Eleven in US apparently. 7 is 9. That's such a funny way to type it. I'm sorry, that's so... You don't know if Twitch will censor it, that makes sense, but I see. And yeah, I understand if like there's a specific incident that I'm totally not typing that in. I'm totally not typing that in right now and pinning it to read later. 9/11. It's not censored, yeah. I don't think you guys can just spam 9/11 though. I think that wouldn't look good on me or as like you guys for moderation. But 7 is 9. This is so funny. Can we spam 6/7? I'd rather you not. You know what the worst part? I said this before. But it's still true. I hate playing Sudoku now because I like play Sudoku now and then during breaks because it's a nice game to play. But the 6/7 meme has ruined my goddamn like time when I play that because I'll be like nearing the finish of a puzzle. I'll be getting to the point where I can start doing Sudokus. I can start doing boxes. So I'll be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, Ruadh, you want to know what's really not right? Left. Oh yeah, sure. Tell me what's really not right. That sounded kind of bad. Left. Oh, I knew. What sounded bad was I accidentally took a screenshot. I was checking something. I just thought you guys would hear like. Yep, I got you. I knew the joke. Do you guys want to hear a long joke? Actually, you guys want? Actually, speaking of jokes, one of my favorite jokes of all time. It's not even a joke. It's Norm Macdonald. It's Norm Macdonald and another guy. You know what's really shitty though? Sure. 2 of my interviews got bombed. Wait, 2? I thought it was only 1. Haru, I'm so sorry. After bad news, I'm gonna cry. I am sending you the biggest hug. Right now, okay? Then this morning they bombed it. What is going on? Like what I would do, Haru. Now it could be that they have just like filled that role. Like if they're getting loads of people and they filled it. If that's what they say, but it could be like maybe you just email them back and go, that's okay. Thank you for letting me know. Is there a possibility of rescheduling it? The writer's curse they're talking about. I'm not writing ever again. Long joke? Maybe. I have a short joke. What's a short joke? That's writing? That's not writing. Writing is pen and paper. Hello, Mermaid Pinup. I'm only just arrived, but hearing sadness. So sorry to everyone for any disappointment or heartbreak you're feeling. There's a little bit going on, I suppose. There's a little bit going on. But I'll tell you guys a joke to make you feel better, okay? I'll tell you a joke. So, there once was this farmer, and he was a very big fan of tractors. He always got the magazines about the latest tractors. He had posters on the wall about tractors. And yeah, he was just a very big tractor fan. And he had a wife, and one day they were out in the farm and an accident occurred and the wife died, and she was actually killed by a tractor. She was ran over by a tractor. And from that point on, the man he hated tractors. He tore down all the posters, he cancelled all the subscriptions, he burned all his magazines. Is the farmer autistic perchance? Perhaps. That does sound like that could be. That wouldn't even be a punchline. That would just be correct, probably. I was crashing out the whole day. But anyway, so he's obviously he's distraught, and after some time he kind of picks himself back up. He still, he still hates tractors. He still hates them, but he does at least, I won't say get over the death of his wife, but he does pick himself up to go and start dating again. So a day comes that he has a date with this woman, and they go to, thank you for grabbing my chest, Banana. They go to a restaurant together. They go for some food together. And as they're sitting, they're chatting away. They're kind of just typical date stuff. And suddenly the room starts filling with smoke. And people are freaking out. And the farmer, he goes, no, it's okay, I can deal with this. And he goes, and he breathes in all the smoke, all of it. He just takes it all into his lungs, and he runs over to a window and he blows it all out into outside and gets rid of all the smoke, and everything's fine again. And he goes back to the woman and she goes, "That's amazing, that's incredible. How did you do that?" And he goes, "Well, I'm an Extractor fan." No, don't sedate me. It's funny. It's funny, okay? Don't pinch me. He's an Extractor fan. I want to hear your short, but what the fuck? That would be double teamed. I'm being poked and pinched. You poor thing. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happened, but. Harold, I'm touching Rua's chest on your behalf. I'm sad that you guys didn't like that joke. When I heard, I actually stole that joke, and I stole it from Harry. What's his YSW? What's his name again? The guy from the Sidemen, Harry the Sidemen guy. W2S. That's it. I'm not really like a big Sidemen fan. I never really watched their stuff at all, and KSI just kind of annoys me. But I will say the Harry guy, I've seen like clips of him, and he is very funny. He is a very funny individual. Good night, Ruadh. Good night, Casey. I'll be going reading soon, probably in the next like 8 minutes. Ruadh, that's the joke. The fucking clown music's playing right now. That's for you. They're playing the clown music for you, Banana. What a thief. Cancel him. After Banana's joke, I'm gonna tell my favorite stream joke. So, sure. Shoot. Let's go 2 for 2 with the redheads cancelled. Do you think maybe there's like a space on the lads team now? I mean, they got rid of a redhead. Maybe I can slide on in there. I'm not really a wolf. I haven't invited a wolf into my house. I'm sure they'd find something from me. They're gonna cancel me because I'm ginger. I'm sorry, it's redhead. I'll have you know. No, I think they'd love me. I think they'd love me. I think if I went on Billy, I'd do amazing. Go right ahead, Lumi. I said go. I said do the joke. You're too old? No, I'm not too old. And even if I was too old, I'm banning you, Lumi, for that joke. No, I think you've told that before, Lumi. I'm like 99% positive you told that joke on this stream. Even if I was, there's like fans of older individuals, but I'm not old, so it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't be going for those people. It is dark. It's a little bit dark. It's a little bit dark. It was really funny. I remember I was talking to Daya ages ago. It was last year during, in the middle of summer. And I was telling him, like, oh, it's still light over here. It's still, like, bright. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, it's like, it's still bright. But he was like, isn't it like 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. over there? I was like, yeah, it's still, like, fairly bright. And he was like, what do you mean? It's like, it's still bright, Daya. It's summer. And he was like, even in, like, the summer, it starts to get dark at, like, I think he was saying, like, a few hours earlier anyway. And it makes me remember that, like, America and, like, Latin America and all that places are, like, a good bit lower on the earth than Europe. Never mind in places like Finland, where it probably doesn't even get dark, like, fully dark during the summer. And then in winter, it's probably, like, perpetually nighttime. But yeah, but then it's covered then by the fact that, like, in winter, we're fucking, like, it's wintry, or it's, you know, it gets dark very quickly. It'll be like 5 p.m. and it will be dark. It'll be nighttime. You never notice it. You never notice it until, like, one day, you just realize how long it's been, how quick it's gotten dark, or how long it's been light out. I do want to give Darkest Dungeon a try, though, streaming again. Speaking of dark things, don't stop grabbing my chest. This is the third time someone has grabbed my chest this stream. I feel like I can call assault at this stage. I feel like I should be allowed to say that I'm being assaulted. There's an old thriller film based on that with Al Pacino and Robin Williams called Insomnia, which takes place somewhere it never gets dark. Or have I invented this? Al Pacino and Robin Williams. Okay, well, let's do a search. Insomnia. It does seem there is. I think it's in Alaska, apparently. Look at you having movie knowledge. I want to do another movie watch along. That was fun last time we did that. We watched Shrek 2. Do I want to know why Pepper went to prison? Sure, Lumi. Tell me why Pepper went to prison. Let me hear it. I need Tata comfort. Fine, this time I won't call you out for assault. Okay, I like that one. I liked that one. That one was good. I liked that one. Hello, Crumbly Wastican. Welcome in, welcome in. I hope you're doing very well. I realize now that that was Crumbly was taken and not Crumbly Wastican. It was Crumbly was taken. I really wish people would capitalize. Actually, I don't think you can capitalize on. I don't think you can, like, capitalize non-start of names in, or can you on Twitch? But hello. It took me a second. Lamau. But I think we're going to get into the reading. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell Genduki to cam it on the piano, and we're going to go return to our stream. Girls stream more. I'm at 78. Listen, I technically streamed like 10 times over the last, like, week, because I had to do like 5 streams of Darkest Dungeon in the space of like 2 days, because I was never allowed to stream Darkest Dungeon. But no, I will try and do a few more. I will try and do a few more. Let me just turn on the light. Which hates that game. It really does. I think and the third time it was the internet. The second and first time it was like maybe some OBS issue or like a graphics card issue, but it wouldn't even make sense if it was a graphics card issue because it was a 3080. It should be more than capable. I have streamed Baldur's Gate at the highest quality. I eventually turned it down because I remember I blue screened for the first time ever on this PC in like one area while I was streaming, but I've been able to run Baldur's Gate while streaming. I think it can fucking run Darkest Dungeon and its 2D sprites. But we are going to return to our book reading, so the actual ASMR portion of this stream will now begin. You know what I haven't done in a while? I haven't done like a proper ASMR stream, you know, with my 3DO. I should do that at some point. I think that could be nice. Tapping on stuff. Either I do it, I could maybe try and do it tomorrow because my nails are getting long and they're getting to the point where I cut them. And I always find that I decide to do an ASMR stream like the day after I cut my nails, and then I can't tap on them. Get an ear pick. Maybe I should get an ear pick. I do know, Haru, you like that. You like that scratches. You like those scratchy noises. I still need to get a new stand for it, by the way. I have a new mic stand. That's why I haven't been dropping you guys recently. But yeah, maybe I need to get like a new microphone stand for that thing. I mean, it works. It works just leaving it on the floor. But anyway. When last we left off, we were looking at the Battle of Clontarf in the more contemporary annals of Brian Boru at the time, and how they were describing it as, some describing it as kind of putting the Vikings at the forefront, others being kind of both the Leinstermen and the Vikings, different reportings and stuff. Now I believe we're moving into Clontarf in later annals, when the primacy of Brian Boru's family has kind of taken a bit more hold, as well as different competing groups. So we can see how that kind of developed. Hello, Gen09701. What am I hearing? It sounds amazing. It's fire in the background, and I guess it's my voice is what you're hearing. But we're reading about Brian Boru and the Battle of Clontarf. Brian Boru being a, what would it be, late 10th to early 11th century Irish king, eventually High King, and the Battle of Clontarf being the one that he died at, but he's often well known for, as it's kind of publicly known as the battle in which he broke the Viking power in Ireland and really radically changed the way the High Kingship was available for different groups, also being the individual to really take it to the Unail families. You have the nicest voice I have ever heard, and I mean it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jen. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I don't agree. I've heard many nicer voices. I think JASMR is JASMR is a fantastic channel with the most naturally ASMR like quality voice ever. Brian is the only name I'd remember in this book. It is. It probably is Haru. I love your voice. Thank you, Jen. That's very kind of you. Makes me want to sleep. Well, that's kind of the ideal. That's the ideal. If you put me on, you put your phone on the bedside table, plug your headphones in, or preferably, I have a Bluetooth sleep mask that I wear when I go to sleep, and it is the best thing ever. I always wake up with it off, but when I pull that over my eyes and I closed it, and I get the ASMR or whatever video I'm watching, you also have one. Based. They're so good. They're so comfortable. It's really nice to they're just relaxing, you know. It's like weighted. Even though I've never used a weighted blanket, I do understand the concept of like the weight on your body is just kind of nice. Like I've done it before where I've had multiple blankets over me, and it's like, oh, it's really cozy. And now and then I found your stream; it'll be even more fun. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that, Jen. But yeah, we are just about to get back into the reading, so I hope you enjoy. We are quite a ways into the book, so it'll probably be, something that you can just put on in the background and just enjoy. And many of the names are quite difficult, so don't worry. It's more I'm just background noise for you guys to either fall asleep to just maybe be weird in my chat. I don't know. But I do hope you guys enjoy. Clontarf in the later annal collections, sending sweet dreams to everyone. Thank you, Mermaid. The version of these events preserved in the Annals of Ulster, a 15th century manuscript, was copied quite faithfully into the 17th century compilations, usually called Chronicon Scotorum and the Annals of the Four Masters. They do, however, insert occasional morsels of information, as ever the problem is knowing whether this came from another contemporary source that is now lost, or whether it is no more than folklore. And it can be a complex story, because on the one hand, both of these sources give, if anything, greater emphasis to the foreign component among Brian's opposition, and yet provide additional names of Leinster lords who died in the conflict. Thus, the Chronicon does not report the Leinstermen assembling against Brian, but rather claims that the foreigners of the world, such as them as were to the west of Loch Lane, gathered against Brian and Mael Shocknail. And by foreigners here it means Norse, and by Loch Lane it means Scandinavia. Similarly, the Four Masters have it that the foreigners of Western Europe assembled against Brian and Mael Shocknail. Rohin Hinelsiot Goil Ihari Orpa in Ind Aga Vrian agus Mael Shocknail. And again, these foreigners of Western Europe are confined to people of Viking origin. But both sources tell us that in addition to the Ufalan king of Leinster, Mael Morda mac Morhada, there also fell an Umerdig prince, Tuathal mac Aguair, who was a potential king of Leinster, and the son of Grogarbon mac Crohur, Rig Damna of Ufelga. And one presumes that we can trust these new names, as there can hardly have been much incentive to concoct them as such a late date. They certainly seem to be historical figures. Tuathal presumably being a son of the Aguair who died in the Battle of Bithlon in 978, while we have both annalistic and genealogical records of the family of Brogabán, son of the Crohur, from whom the Ua Crohur Faligi, the O'Connor Fairley, descend. Interestingly, too, the Chronicon is faithful to its source to the extent that it does not record the date of battle, and does not mention the place name Clontarf. The Four Masters, on the other hand, are quite clear about both the time and place. Quote, a spirited, fierce, violent, vengeful, and furious battle was fought between them, the like of which was not to be found in that time at Clontarf, on the Friday before Easter precisely. Vecher chachroha, ahis argav, Eng Anamaratok, Etora Danafre, Saul Ishin am Shershin, Hick Clontarf, in Shin Ena Rikask, the Shora. Hunra. This is clearly information acquired from an alternative source, which does not, of course, invalidate it, as we shall see. But it seems unlikely that the compilers can be right in their belief that Brian was in his 88 year, as discussed earlier, or that his son, Merced, was in his 63rd year. Admittedly, Merced had a son, Teirdelbach, who was old enough to die fighting in the battle, but a more likely estimate of all the ages of all three would put Brian at 73, Merced at 50, and Teirdelbach no more than a teenager. According to the Koga, he was only 15 when he had died. A more substantial point of divergence between the account of the battle in these sources on the one hand, and the near contemporary accounts, I've forgotten to use my book. My book toggle, there we go, we have the book. In both these sources, on the other hand, and the near contemporary account of the Annals of Innisfallen and the Annals of Ulster, is an implication that after the deaths of Brian and his lieutenants, and therefore after an initial defeat, the forces were afterwards routed by dint of battling, bravery, and striking by Mael Shocknail from the Tulka to Dublin against the foreigners and the Leinstermen. This is how the Four Masters put it. The Chronicon, which is partly illegible here, may omit Mael Shocknail, but nevertheless retains the sense that in the first stages of the confrontation, perhaps at Clontarf, Brian's forces were actually discomfited, but that in secondary engagement further south, between the Tulka and the Liffey perhaps, led by Mael Shocknail's contingent, the day was saved. Perhaps the suggestion of a rescue mission by Mael Shocknail is special pleading by a writer who was never reconciled to the King of Tara being pushed aside by Brian. But nevertheless, there may be something to it. I feel like it's really dry today. I'm gonna have to keep sipping on my water. Where were we? Oh yeah, here we were. Whatever else, this has the merit of being feasible, which is more than can be said of the other great annalistic account of the battle that preserved in the Annals of Loch Key, and the related Annals of Boyle. The Annals of Loch Key is in fact a book put together in Connacht in the 16th century, which intentionally begins with the events of the year 1014, omitting everything that happened in Ireland before that date, as its compiler evidently thought Clontarf ushered in a whole new phase in Irish history, and perhaps because he was beginning his book with it, he wanted to begin with a flourish, so he presents a dramatically embellished account of the battle. I'm melting, it's so hot, I'm sorry, Jen. It's been relatively nicer here than it has been in the last couple of days, where it was way too warm. Definitely more manageable. But I know other places are still getting hit. You're from Austria. Oh, God. Oh, no. I know Western and Central Europe are having a real rough time. I'm so sorry. You guys have to deal with that. Even though it is certain, therefore, that a contemporary notice from the Annals of Ulster underlies Loch Key's accounts, the whole thing has been blown up into a piece of literature as much as history. This is a pity, at least, it is to historians, as when he is not indulging in flights of fancy, the Loch Key chronicler has things to tell us. He was not persuaded, for instance, by those other voices that would see Brian mustering almost all of Ireland to his banner. In fact, he confesses that, quote, Brian assembled neither host nor multitude against this great army of the west of the world and of foreigners, but the men of Munster alone, and Mael Shocknail with the men of Meath. For there came not to him the Ulaid, nor the Arigiala, nor the Kenil Noan, nor the Kenil Conoil, nor the men of Connacht, save the Uamain and the Uafiachroch, and the Kenil Neda. For there did not exist goodwill between Brian and Tig, in Eich Giel, son of Cahal Macrahur, king of Connacht, and hence it was Tig that refused to go with Brian to the battle at Clontarf. This preoccupation with Connacht is accounted for, of course, by the book's provenance there, and perhaps the author knew something that we did not about the poor state of relations between Brian and Tig in Uachtrahur. The probability, though, or I think it's tack, is that the writer's conclusion that there was a dearth of support for Brian is based on nothing more scientific than a perusal of the casualty list in the Standard Annals, when therefore we see him describe how Brian, whom he calls by his famous nickname Boru, set up camp in Clontarf and Old Mag Elta, to the north of Dublin. It appears that he may have gotten his hands on some lost annalistic material, except that he adds, to attack Dublin on this occasion was not to attack a neglected breach. It was like putting a hand into the griffin's nest to assail it. It would not be evading conflict, but seeking great battles and contests, to advance against the multitude that had then arrived there. For the choicest brave men and heroes of the island of Brian had arrived there, from Caer, Ebroch, York, and from Caer Egist, and from Caer Gonoith. There arrived there moreover the principal kings and chieftains, knights and warriors, champions of valor and brave men of the north of the world, both those black Scandinavians and fair Scandinavians, in the following and in the friendship of the foreigners, until they were in Dublin with Sitric the son of Amlaeb, offering war and battle to the Irish. Thither came Shogriv Fionn and Shogriv Dun, two sons of Lohar, Jarl of Inish Och or Orkney, accompanied by the armies of Inish Orc. Thither came moreover great hosts from the Inish Gaul, and from Manon, so the Hebrides and Man, and from the Rins of Galloway, and from the Britons and from the Flemings. There arrived there also Broder, the Jarl of Cair Ebroch, and with a very great hosts, and Uther the Black, the warrior of Egist, and Grisina, a knight of the Flemings, and Grisam from the Normans. There arrived there likewise 1,000 bold, brave, powerful heroes of the Black Danars, with shields and targets and many corslets. From Tarfin, the great armies and famous bards of all the tribes of the foreigners were also there, and the merchants who had come from the lands of France and from the Saxons and from the Britons and the Romans. From this it is clear the writer has ceased retelling what he knows to be fact and embarked on a storytelling for the purposes of entertainment. Distinctions from a century or more before Clontarf between Dub Goyle and Fin Goyle, dark foreigners or fair foreigners. This, I assume, is probably I believe it's the difference between like Swedish and Denmark in terms of who they're referring to. Are resurrected to give us black Lochlanocks and fair Lochlanocks and 1,000 black Danars, and even Sigurd, Earl of Orkney, has become two contrasting bright dark men. Shogriv Fionn, and Shogriv Dun. It will not do to have merely the familiar Cair Ebroch or York, it must also be garnished with the obscure Cair Egist and Cair Gunaeth. And it is not enough to have fighting men from York alone or from the Viking settlements in Orkney and the Hebrides, Galloway and Man. These must be glamorized by Welshmen and by Flemish and by Norman knights and English, French and Roman merchants. Again, this is a pity, because hidden among the exotica are the men from the Scandinavian world who did indeed fight at Clontarf, and perhaps, therefore, in discarding this chaff, we would take care to preserve some grain. Why would there not be men from York fighting alongside King Sitric of Dublin in 1014, as his own father had ruled the Viking fortress at York for many years in the middle of the 10th century? Echo is snuggling me and it feels like 98 degrees. Oh, 36. Oh god, that's really hot. I hope that, and having like a cat cuddling up against you will just make it even hotter. Oh god. I remember on one summer it was very hot and I was sleeping. Excuse me. I was sleeping and two dogs were in the bed with me. Hello, Casper. I see. Thank you for translating, Casper. Hot man. You, I feel like, will fit in here then. If that is your reaction. Because I feel like that's what all of my viewers are like. But welcome in. Thank you for the first time chat. It's nice to meet you. Finally someone said it. You have a fan pointed at your face. I have one too. Maybe I should use that. I need to go out Thursday and the weather app said it's going to hit 101F. What's 101F? 101F to C. 38. Ugh, Haru. That sounds disgusting. Show them your thighs. Show off your sword, hot man. Fine, you know what? Fine, I will show off my sword. There you go. Now you see the long sword. See? It's very cool. Even like it would probably be a little bit difficult to get it out. I always like to imagine that like Ruadh, like I have like a little like strap at the back that I can pull that makes the knot come undone, and then the sword is just easily able to be like, pulled out or like like wielded. Let me get a bit closer again. Hi. No, no hand holding. No no legend. No hand holding. Get off of me. No hand holding allowed. Why is that? I accidentally moused over. I was trying to make myself smaller, but I put my hand I put my hand on, or my mouse on the hand, and I made it tiny. He's got really big swords. Love the outfit thing, King. Thank you, Jen. I don't speak for English, but plus minus understand. That's okay. You know what, Casper? We get a lot of people that don't, not a lot, but some people that don't speak English. I think they just enjoy listening. So I hope you can enjoy. Show them your dogs. They're not seeing my dogs. But it's nice to meet you. Thank you, Casper11, for the follow. And hi, Legend. I hope you're doing well. Enjoy hot man with a decently sized chest. Thank you, Haru. It's so hot outside. I understand. It's been nice here, but we've had, I think it's meant to get hotter. Hello, Dumbo Dude 2. Welcome in. You're snacking on ice cubes. I love snacking on ice cubes when it's hot. Thank you for the stretch, Dumbo Dude. There might be something. There's better be something about his thighs in here. There isn't. There's nothing on this video, on that video, that is about thighs. It is about lower. Oh, I need a good stretch. My AC is on blast. Poor Bills. I'm sorry, Haru. But like in that type of weather, you need. It's like that sounds like whether you live or die in. Where were we? Oh yeah. In other words, because the annals of Lockheed were put together by a family of professional hereditary historians who had access to materials that had not survived, what they tell us deserves proper consideration before being dismissed as mere legend. For instance, it is the only one of the surviving annals that maintains that Brian Boru was decapitated in the battle. Quote, the High King, Brian MacKennetig, and his nephew, Coneg MacDonaghan, were behind the battlements. Chanting their prayers, chanting their psalms and performing prayers, when a vehement, furious Denmarkian escaped from the battle, avoiding death until he came to the place where the king was. As soon as the Denmarkian perceived the king unguarded, he unsheathed his sword and beheaded the High King of Ireland. And he beheaded Coneg and likewise, and he himself fell in the mutual wounding of that fight. High King, royal weed guy. I've lived in worse weather. I was scorched literally when I was still in the Philippines, because the only way I could get internet access was by staying out in the sun. Oh my god, Haru. That could not have been good for you. And yeah, I can't imagine what the Philippines is like. Like, the issue with like Ireland and England is it gets very hot and very humid, and then it doesn't get a chance to cool off because the days are so long. So like you end up sitting in like mid-20s, like low 20s, mid-20s at nighttime, and it being like 90 plus humidity. I might be in danger of skin cancer. Well, please just wear your sunscreen from now on, okay? Wear your sunscreen from now on. Are we to believe this? It is surely quite likely that Brian, who was at least 73 years of age, did not take part in the fighting at Clontarf, but directed things from a distance. And it is possible that a trusted lieutenant for the king, like the king's nephew, stayed at his presence at all times. We do not know whether Brian, the man, was prayerful or profane, We do not know how an elderly king in the early 11th century would behave on such an occasion, but every member of Brian's family and every one of his extended kin who was of fighting age and not in holy orders would have been there before him on that day, risking life and limb for his cause, and he would have seen his son and grandson and many of the royalty of Munster and beyond cut down before his eyes in a battle that might go either way. Surely at some point in such a long and bloody day a Christian king turns to prayer, and it is not preposterous to think that a fleeting member of the opposing army might have happened upon Brian and his nephew at a remove from the action, and irrespective of whether they were praying or planning their next move, beheaded them both before he could be stopped. The fact is that the contemporary annals do state that after the battle, Conaing's head alone was brought for burial to Armagh, and we can assume therefore that he was indeed decapitated, and the rest of the body was not recovered. No source tells us that only Brian's trunkless head was brought north to Armagh from the battle, and while there is oft outside chance that the explanation is that there was a kind of communal respectful denial of the awful truth of the situation, presumably the High King's entire corpse was in fact retrieved. Nevertheless, there is nothing in the testimony of the more reliable annal accounts that would cause us to dismiss definitively the contention of the annals of Lac Kay that he died by decapitation. And it turns out that this version of events is corroborated in the most unlikely of sources. I wear it a lot now and wear like long sleeves. Cancer in a can sealant is the one I choose. It's going to take me out, not my skin. What? Gotta make a deal with the Fae to get cold weather. Nothing could go wrong. True, true. Hello, Aquamog. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's nice to see you. Yes, Ruadh ASMR. Hope you're all having a good day. It's the reading kind of ASMR, so I won't be like tapping on stuff. I won't be whispering, but we will be reading. We will be reading. The stuff I use for doll. Ah, I see. ASMR. Don't be mean to me. It's ASMR. Or I'm not saying s'more. Being read to is nice, though. It is. I do. For me, I think I really like unintentional ASMR. I think it's so good. When it's good, it's so good. Should be writing and reading. No, because this is ASMR. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Writing and reading is wrong, and it should be reading and writing. It shouldn't be writing and reading, it should be reading and writing. I accidentally ASMR today because my mic picked up my pencil scratches on paper. That's so good. I love writing. I do love writing noises. And one of the things that I love on like writing or tracing noises is when they're doing small movements and like you can hear the like tap 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 tap. It's like that. I call it like incidental tapping. And what I mean by that is they're tapping noises that arise out of like when they're doing something that they don't intend to be tapping. With a quill. I should charge my iPad. You should. Tell that to Twitch, Unk. Writing ASMR when. It would just be awkward, I feel like, trying to set it up. But maybe I can do that next time. Maybe I gotta get a pencil. But like next time I'm like moving stuff around, I can get a notebook and I can just write on it. Write all our names so you won't forget. Should I be like sticking my name on your names on my body too, just to be safe? You guys could pay me to stick your name on my body. How about that? How about that, Haru? If you pay me like $5, I'll put a big. No, that's a bit cheap. Like $10, I'll put like a big Haru on like my chest. Because I'm broke. I'll pay you one Ruadh buck. Because I'm broke. It has been done, and I would. I know. I have seen those before. I've seen those that like offer on streams before. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll do like a big streamathon, and I'll or subathon, and we can do like a bunch of silly stuff like that. When will you do one? I don't know because I don't know what to do for one, and I always feel weird about. For one, the issue is that I wouldn't be able to do like long. Like you guys know, I'm not a good long streamer. The longest streams I've done have been like what, 6 hours. I'm usually good around the 3 hour mark. Old man stamina. I'm sorry. Someone has a full time. You know what? I'm gonna be nice to you, Haru, because you've had a rough. I'm gonna censor the word, so I censored myself there. But full time, trying to be healthy, having a life, and streaming, it makes it very difficult. Get him some Viagra for stream. I feel like if I wanted energy for stream, it's either coffee or meth, or maybe cocaine. But somehow, I feel like Twitch maybe wouldn't appreciate that on stream. Do it when you're in vacay. Yeah, okay. Respectively, shush full-time plus stream is a lot. We are privileged to have Ruadh getting high on stream. That's okay, bud. Me too. It is tough. It is tough. It doesn't help that my job usually involves a lot of Oh, I'm sorry, Haru. I'm sorry. My Job. She's like a dog. Haru's like a dog. You have to spell things out. You guys do that when your dog, like, you don't want to scare your dog or like get them all excited, so you're like FOOD, WALK, BALL, bark a bark, and then they learn how to spell. That's the dangerous part, when they start learning how to spell. Some dogs are very smart. Some dogs are smart. They can be very, very funny. That's me with my little brother. Are you like what if you intentionally sabotaged his spelling so that you can, his like spelling learning, so that you can like stay quiet about things? You can like keep him ignorant for longer. That would be a terrible thing to do. Don't do that, Haru. Need to put a collar and leash on Ruadh since he barked. Don't remind me of the roof. And no, you're not allowed to put a collar and leash on me. I guess I have the torque. That kind of is like a almost collar. Have you guys ever seen this? By the way, I don't know if I come that close to the screen much, but there's like this very fine red thread. That's what I picture it as, but like the red on the torque. It might be difficult to see in this lighting, but it's not like silver that just goes around. It's like a red thread. Yeah. Don't poke me. What the fuck, Legend? Don't stop. No. Not when I get close. Not when I get close. You're able to poke harder. Get off of me. Halloween Doga. Dog Ua. I'm pretty sure there's a dog Ua of me somewhere. Don't pinch. No pinches. No pinch. Get off. Large. I rapidly approached you at quick speed. Now that's better. I like the cuddling. My eyes are pretty. You think so? You think my eyes are pretty? Thank you. I think my eyes are very pretty too, aren't they? Look at them. Look at them. My mama did a lot of work. My mama did a lot of work on those eyes. Look at those. Your model is so good. John Lee eyes. True. But my mama and papa both did incredible. And papa too. I'm sorry, I like pushed your guys' chat all the way up there. But they did do incredible. I love this toggle. It's so funny. And I've said it before, but whenever I turn this toggle off, I feel wrong. I feel like the eyes are wrong then. The issue with this is that like it really picks up the frog blinking. Wow, I should do that command. Oh my god, it's a pretty good command. Whenever I want, I like being able to be like, that's my mama, that's my papa. Look what a good job they did. But don't they look so small now? It looks like there's like so much of my face that one could use. But I guess it's like space for, it's like space for, like your hand to caress. You thought I was being serious, by the way. Lamau, look at you. You were like, oh my god. He's actually flirting. No, no, no. To slap? Okay, maybe I prejudged. I was trying to make fun of you for like falling for the BFE, and then you just said you'd slap me. I never realized a tattoo on the neck. Oh yeah, look, it's a 9 and a 1. It's like a little reference. My mama suggested that. My mama tattooed me. She's a little bit abusive, I suppose. But it's like a reference to like one of the Fianna kind of things is that they would stand to any they would stand to odds up to 9 to 1. And I always kind of like, that they couldn't flee at odds until 9 to 1, or well, past 9 to 1. I think even then it's like, they wouldn't necessarily run at 9 to anything past like 10 to 1, but it's like it's not dishonorable at that stage. That's rad as heck. It's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah. He's 91 years old. He's 91 centimeters tall. You guys are just making stuff up. You're just making up. You're just making up. I've said before, I'm 2,000 plus year. Wait, no. 1,700, 1,800, 1,700 years. Something around there. I forget. 91 ants tall. Why ants? I don't understand. Anyway, let me step back to you guys. I know it's scary having me like right in front of you, super close. Ants are cute. I could see it. The O of the 9 is the target for chat to put a kiss on. That's lewd. That's very lewd. Or a vampire to bite. I feel like my blood would be very delicious to a vampire. So flirting allowed or checks rules. I think I'm just fine with people being silly. But if someone was to come in here being like, yo, Ruadh baby, listen, screw all these other cats. How about you, me? Private Discord server. We ERP like we're back on DeviantArt. Ruadh baby, I'm crying. Okay, so platonically you were fine. Good job, Aquamog. Clap, 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 clap. Wait, what? Oh, my book's upside down. I was like very confused. I thought I was having a stroke. Also knows I'm like not serious. Yeah, I know most people are like being silly. You're so fine, platonically speaking. Never serious. No. You ugly. I was like not expecting the /J there. I thought you were just gonna say you ugly platonically. I'll draw Ua pregnant, but I won't put my lips on the man. That's a wild statement. With all the friendship in the world, your voice and model are great. You are great. Thank you, Aqua Boy. This is very kind of you. I say all this and then I do like NSFW art for you guys to enjoy. I drew him preggers. I'm just a photographer. You did. Don't hold my hand. Get off me, legend. No hand holding on stream. Okay, I'm gonna finish off this because we're near the end of this little section. As we shall see, an account of the battle found its way to the Norse world and is preserved in the Icelandic sagas, and this version also states that Brian was beheaded. It is slightly different, though, in that in this account Brian's companion is not also beheaded, but loses an arm, which is reattached when Brian's saintly blood flows over the wound. And as for Brian himself, when his corpse is being laid out, it is found that his severed head has similarly become reconnected to the torso. The fact is that Lockheed analysts seem to had access to a source of some antiquity originating in or around Brian's kingdom of Dalkesh. The reason for saying so is that his account of the Battle of Clontarf proceeds to tell two dramatic tales or visions seen the night before the battle. Neither is remotely historical, but both must come from a lost Munster source. I got jump scared by lewd art and I will never be the same. The art is hella nice. Need more art on feed us your colony. But feeding you guys requires money. that was pricey. It actually wasn't that bad because I got it on like a little sale, but I do apologize, Aquamog, if every now and again you just get like jump scared by my art, by any like NSFW. Make your own art. Boom. Listen. If I was to draw art of myself doing something like that, it would be two stickmen. Maybe I call one of them a stick woman, and the item would be a line. The tool of use would be a slightly thicker line, like in a darker, heavier pencil. Okay, that would be the extent of my artistic abilities. The tier 3 subs will arrive when there's ear licking. I keep telling you. No, I don't want to do ear licking. I hate them. Anyone who likes them, I get it. I get that. I get like the triggers are different for different people, but I just can't stand them. Ruadh has his chat to draw him lewd art. Chat, do we ship Ruadh with a stick man or a stick woman or both? Well, both, and he's no, that's not true, Haru. Aquamog, in my Discord, in the NSFW art section, I have two arts by the same drawer where we have done no I'm not. If you look at those arts, it is very clear what position I'm on, and it is not the bottom. Hello, Lancelot. It is very clear what position. There's just two. He did do another one. Where it was like the see-through Lena. Ruadh bouncing on it a trampoline. That would be very cute. Can you guys draw me on a trampoline? Methinks the lady doth protest too much. This lady's gonna put a foot up your ass in fucking 5 seconds. Very tasteful. It was very good. Hang on, I'll draw you on a trampoline, buddy. Thank you, Aquabog. Thank you. This is very cute. Oh, yeah, there you go. There's the Discord link. I think that link still works. It should still work. I think I did it for the unlimited Discord link. Hello, Morky Mork. A foot up my ass. Damn, at least buy me dinner first. No, this is meant to be ASMR. You might have to scroll up quite far in the thread. Oh, that got me. Okay, let me finish this section, because then at least I can say I did 10 pages. In the first vision, Brian's confidential retainer, Iderg Mac Urdon, sees a group of praying clerics coming towards the camp, which turn out to be Saint Sinon, come to collect debts from Brian that were due on the day of the battle. When Brian is told of the vision, he is greatly troubled, because 37 years before the Friday night in which Brian was slain, this vision had been seen by a man who had been at the killing of the foreigners on Scatterdy Island. We know from other sources that 37 years earlier, shortly after assuming the kingship, Brian had indeed taken revenge on the Norse of Limerick, who had been involved in the murder of his brother Matt Gamon, by following them to the monastery of Saint Sinon on Inishcaig, in the Shannon Estuary, where Emer of Limerick had established a base. The Norse were presumably expecting the protection of sanctuary there, but Brian allowed them none and slaughtered them instead, the annals portraying this as a violation or profanation of the monastery. This event replicated a similar slight to the community there 3 years earlier, when Inish Cahig was attacked by Macus Mac Irlith and the Logmen, the lawmen of the Isles, probably in collaboration with Dalkesh, as a result of which Emer of Limerick was captured and brought overseas, making good his escape only in the following year, an affront that was likewise described as the violation of Sinon. Obviously, the point of the premonition, witnessed the night before Clontarf, was that Saint Sinon would finally get retribution by Brian's death, but the story's effect is dependent on circumstantial knowledge. To get the point, one needed to know that Brian and the clerics of Scatterty had never been close, and why this was, and therefore needed to know what had happened in 977. A relatively inconsequential deed nationally, but with sizable implications locally. We can take it therefore that the source for the supposed vision was also local. And this holds true for the second of these strange forebodings recorded in the annals of Loch Key. In this story, Brian is visited the night before by the fairy woman Aibeen, daughter of Don Olen, from the Sheath or otherworld mound of Criachlia, who tells him of his imminent death and that the first of his sons whom he would see next would be the one to succeed him. He therefore sends to Mirkud, but it is Donca who comes first to him, to Brian's chargin, who is then obliged to tell Mirkud that which I should wish God has not permitted to you. Aibeen of Crialuk is a Dalkesh otherworldly figure, and we can assume a Dalkesh source for this story, someone who was perhaps not too pleased at Donca's succession. Incidentally, a version of the story also occurs in a poem by the great Munster poet Gofraid Fionn Uadalig. And sure enough, the story also occurs in the Coga Galav Rigalav, or Gaelic Rigalav, although only in the 17th century manuscript, as this part of the narrative is missing in the earlier manuscripts, and surely therefore it originated within Dalkesh, close in time to Brian's demise. The lesson to be learnt is not to dismiss out of hand even later romanticised accounts of Clontarf, as they may contain still important nuggets of information and inherited memories. I like the ice popsicle you got. That looks like the how far you are getting meme on Twitter. He didn't say how far he got though. Not very far based on the image. Yeah, there's like a bite mark out of the purple piece. But no, it was a fruit pastel ice pop. Or ice lolly. It was very tasty. It was very refreshing, I will say. It was quite nice. I was actually like quite happy with it. Hi everyone, I'm going to sleep with you today. Hi Sochi. I understand what you mean by going to sleep with, but that's kind of a funny way to phrase it in English. But thank you for the head pats and thank you for showing up. Thank you. And I do hope you get the most wonderful sleep, Sochi. Always a pleasure to have you here. How long is this section on the Koga? Oh, it's quite long, actually. How long is the initial section, then? Just this. Because we have done it. We've reached almost page 200. I'm just seeing... Okay, so it's about 20-ish pages. I guess we can do a little bit. Alright, so is Ruadh bounding or sitting on the trampoline? Or bouncing? Spelling is hard. It's okay, Alcohol. I am very bad for spelling as well. It's not even that I'm a bad speller, it's that I just misclick. Like I know how to spell things, but then like I just you just misclick on the phone. I guess that is misspelling, but you don't intend it. But I've had so many times where I've deleted tweets or I you can just call me Aqua. Everyone does. Okay, I'll just call you Aqua then. I guess, yeah, that's true. That's true. Keep well, Sochi. Don't mind his cackles. That's gonna go in your dreams. I'll try not to cackle too much, okay? I noted though, Aqua. You mother. I was like, have a lovely sleep, sweet dreams. Then you hit me with the push-ups. Fine, fine, fine. We'll do some push-ups. We'll do some push-ups. I was doing back and buys in the gym today, so it shouldn't be too bad. Hey, Sochi, I'm not, Sochi, I'm not using my 3DO. This isn't like a heartbeat, like a trigger request. Stop requesting triggers. Sochi, you're gonna get those points back. Legend, you're not. You're not gonna get those. Review request, because how dare you? You know I don't do those. What did you redeem again? Heartbeat, wasn't it? Let me. Oh, where's the heartbeat request? It is there. And come down here and reject, and you should get those points back. Legend gets punished. You deserve it. You deserve it for suggesting I do ear licking. It's only 750 points. It's like 2 streams. Not even 2 streams. Okay, but we do have to do some push-ups. So hopefully my elbow is right again to do them, because it's been acting up a little bit. Just a little. Poor leg. He's gonna shave you next time you suggest that. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. There we go. Nice, easy. 30 push-ups. Okay, let me sit back down. Feels very warm. Hang on, let me check something real quick. I'm going to... I'm turning on the fan. Okay, now it's hitting me. Now you guys are gonna get the deep breathing for a little bit. That's why you request the push-ups, isn't it? Book. Where's my book? I'll hit you with my book a little bit. No, don't hold my hand, Legend. Stop. This is like the 3rd time you've held my hand on stream. Go drown? I will. I'll go drown a little. Are you also suffering from the European heat wave? All my Euro friends are. I was a little bit ago. Gloveless hand holding. How are we lewd? That's why I don't want to do it. Twitch will ban me. But we were a couple, like, last week, definitely. I was anyway. I don't deal with the heat well. And it was so muggy at night. It was like 90 plus humidity or something, and it was just horrible. But it's been much nicer this week. Much more comfortable. It's meant to get a little bit hotter, but not too bad. Me neither. Do you want to move to the Arctic Circle with me? Platonically, of course. Maybe that would be good. I would like to be like, that would be nice. The Arctic Circle. There's nothing bad happens there. Nothing bad happens in the Arctic Circle. It's just like a little cold. You just put on a little bit of extra clothing, you'll be fine. I think I did hear that apparently the Arctic adventurers, like the explorers, like Tom Crean, Ernest Shackleton, all them, when you were like on Antarctica and you were traveling through it, you had to be eating like 10,000 calories a day because of how much calories you'd be burning. It's fine. We'll just have to fend off the polar bears. That's fine. It's like, like I've seen people like scare off bears before. Bang some pots and pans and make yourself big and shout. Now, to be fair, those look like the black bears. I think it's the same polar bears, right? They're like little guys. You just go wah 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 wah. Can you hug the bear? I will give the polar bear a big hug, a big strong hug. It's probably very warm. And the leopard seals and the orcas and I feel like as long as you're not in the water, the leopard seal won't be too bad. Hello, son. Going to the Arctic today is crazy, but imagine people doing it back in the 1910s. Yeah, yeah. Tom Crean. There's a book about Tom Crean, an Irish Arctic explorer who was on 3 Arctic adventures, but the third one was more the story of Ernest Shackleton and their survival. It's a really great book. If you look up I don't know if it's called like the Forgotten Tale of Tom Crean or something, or just Tom Crean, but there's loads of great stories. There's still their old wooden huts they made out there. Really? Oh, that's really cool. Polar bears are much bigger. Oh yeah, no, I know, Aqua. I know polar bears are like huge, and they will eat you. They will happily eat you. It's not like black bears that are like, ooh, what's this thing? I don't like you. It's, oh, you're meat. You're warm and fleshy, and I'm going to eat you now. And their paws they're huge animals. I'd be doing well, son, by the way. I'm going to do a little bit more reading, so let's get to it. We're into Chapter 5, the Coga Gael Rigalev. It is Coga Gael Rigalev that begins the process, and I'm just going to call it the Coga, that begins the process par excellence of bringing imagination to bear on events at and surrounding the Battle of Clontarf. It is often said that the Coga was written a century or more after the Great Battle, although the later research suggests that it might be somewhat older than that. The reason this matters is that there was still veterans of Clontarf alive 50 years after the battle, and there were yet more people alive who would have lived through the cataclysmic years of Brian's high kingship, and a text written by someone who had information supplied by such people is something of enormous value. I've had is being charged. Lewd ua art, potentially. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I'm always scared about that because I don't know what I'm going to like wake up to in the morning. I wake up, I see there's like a new post in Ruadh chord, and I'm like, oh no. Of course, it must be taken with a pinch of salt, where its authors forgets he is a historian and becomes a political propagandist, or we forget that he is primarily the latter and not a historian in the modern sense. But even at this remove, it is quite frequently possible for us to detect such political points being made, and therefore to disregard them, and yet not to make the mistake of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The Coga tells us that Brian mustered for his campaign against Dublin and Leinster on St. Patrick's Day, 17th of March in 1014, but the Dubliners, hearing of it, sent messengers abroad in search of aid, and it lists of those who flocked to Dublin Banner has quite a bit in common with that of the annals of Lough Key in particular. Quote, "They invited unto them Jarl Boru and Amlaeb, son of the king of Loch Lane, the two jarls of Caer and all of the north of England. These two were the chiefs of fleets and outlaws and danars of all Western Europe, having no reverence, veneration, respect, or mercy for God or for men, for church or for sanctuary, at the head of 2,000 cruel, villainous, vicious, ferocious, plundering, hard-hearted, foreign, wonderful Denmarkians, selling and hiring themselves for gold and silver, and other treasures as well. And there was not one villain or robber of that 2,000 who had not polished, strong, triple-bladed, glittering armor, or refined iron, or of cool, uncording brass, encasing their sides and bodies from head to foot. They invited to them also Sirtrid, son of Lothar, Earl of the Orkney Islands and Isles also, with an assembled army of ignorant, barbarous, thoughtless, irreclaimable, unsociable foreigners of the Orkney Islands and of the Cat Islands, from Man and from Skye and from Lewis, from Kintyre and from Argyll, and from two barons of Coer Britons and Corndal Teoch, of the Britons of Kilmooney. They invited to them also Carlos and Ebrich, two sons of the King of France and Platt, a strong knight of Loch Lane, and the hero Conmail. Obviously, there's a good deal of embroidery here. Amlaeb is described as a son of the King of Loch Lane, by which it perhaps meant Norway, but he is then said to be Jarl of Caer, possibly Chester or York, or just Chester, and the north of England. Presumably he is an invented figure and given the cliched name of many a son of the King of Loch Lane, before him to appear in Irish waters, although what prompted it in this instance may be confusion with the Dubgal Mac Amlaeb, brother of Sitric of Dublin, killed at Clontarf. In fact, if the Coga had called Amlaeb son of the King of the Foreigners, rather than of Loch Lane, it would have been right on the button, as King Sitric of Dublin had a son of this name, killed in England in 1034, and the family had indeed, as we have seen, a York connection. Ooh, let me check something real quick. We all good. Let me take another sip of water. I only have a tiny drop of water left on you. Otherwise, the enlisting of Norse assistance from Orkney and down along Scotland's western seaboard from Lewis to Skye to Argyll and Kintyre to the Isles of Man seems not only feasible but actually probable. Undoubtedly, the two barons of Coer Britons, of the Britons of Caer Kilmooney, is taking us into the arena of imagination, the former perhaps being Cornwall and the latter a Welsh chieftain from St. Davis, assuming that Kilmooney is the church of Mirmew, where David built this monastery. While these names seem fanciful, one needs to bear in mind that the contemporary Irish annals called Brian High King of the Irish of Ireland and of the foreigners and of the Britons, and such titles inevitably have a germ of truth in them. The claim being made, therefore, on Brian's behalf, in the annals is that he had received an acknowledgement of overlordship from the Irish and the Hiberno-Norse, which we know is true, and from the Welsh, or at least some Welsh. We do not know the exact link, but the fact is that relations between Ireland and Wales were so close in this era that not only is it demonstrable that Irish kings entered into the political arrangements with Welsh counterparts, but an Irishman could even become king in Wales, as the mysterious Rain was to do only 8 years after the Battle of Clontarf. What is more, there is fairly solid evidence that the Norse of Dublin or the Isles, or both, had at least a foothold in Anglesey. If the Norse claimed to be masters of some Welsh people, and Brian claimed to be the master of the Norse, ipso facto he was master of those same Welshmen. In other words, there is nothing improbable about the annalist's claim that Brian was High King of the Britons, i.e. had secured a declaration of fealty from at least one Welsh prince, and there was nothing remotely improbable about Sitric of Dublin looking to another Welsh lord for assistance against Brian at Clontarf, or gearing up for Brian's assault by drafting in reinforcements from possibly his estates there. We can afford to be more dismissive of the text's inclusion of Carlos and Ebric, two sons of the King of France. An individual called Anrath mac Aelbric, son of the King of Loch Lane, appears later in the text, and we may therefore imagine a Scandinavian background for Aebric or Ilbric. Carlos may get his name and title from a casual association of the name, correctly Carolus, with Frankish royalty since the days of Charlemagne, but it is actually found among the Norse of Dublin, Carolus mac Aimleab having died in 868. It has been suggested that the sword of Carolus, which became a prized trophy, was his. Less likely, perhaps, is that the Irish Carolus, who was a grandson of Cloncolmane's High King Donca Dun, who died in 944, and who was murdered in Dublin in 960. Donca Dun died 944. The Irish Carolus, the grandson, died in 960. This, though, would explain why the sword first occurs on record as late as 995, when it was forcibly surrendered by the Dubliners to Carlus's first cousin, the then High King, Mael Shocknail, along with the Ring of Pure, some Scandinavian name, Tomer. In any event, the Carolus of the Coga and his colleague Ebric are certainly not sons of the King of France, but it is just possible that they were real people with some vague French connection, perhaps mercenaries from the Scandinavian colony in Normandy, who had arrived in Dublin in 1014 to help out in the city's hour of need. That was a pretty important colony in just a couple decades later. As for Brian's forces in the battle, in fairness to the author of the Coga, it must be said that he is very candid about the depleted nature of Brian's authority, perhaps in an attempt to magnify his achievement, though. The one who assembled to join him, he tells us, were the two provinces of Munster, Tuath Mumu and Desmumu, and Connacht, and the men of Mead. But the men of Mead were not faithful to him, for he knew himself that they would desert him at the approach of the battle, although they came to the muster. This, then, is the origin of the story that Mael Shocknail proved disloyal to his lord Brian, and perhaps there is some truth in it. But as we have seen, it is flatly contradicted by the statement of the Four Masters, that if anything, it was actually Mael Shocknail who won the day for Brian's side, snatching a late victory from the jaws of defeat after Brian himself had fallen. It simply cannot be verified at this remove which side is telling the truth. Nevertheless, it is easy to imagine the Munster writer of the Coga finding it less painful to blame the death of his king on the fickleness of the King of Tara than to acknowledge that but for the latter worse things might have happened. Having reached Dublin, and there is a map here, but I forgot to take a photo of it, I apologise, Brian's forces plundered the lands of Uagalba and Uadunkda, north-east County Kildare and south-west County Dublin, and Fingal, north of the Liffey, even sacking the monastic lands of Kilmainham and Clondalkin. Brian's son Donca was dispatched with the forces of the Dalcaish to attack the Leinster territories, when Leinster's armies were congregating at Dublin. And when the foreigners saw Fingal and the area around Howth being set ablaze, they came north from Dublin into Mag Aelta, the coastal plain to which Howth Peninsula attaches, and they met and raised their battle standards on high. Brian, meanwhile, had pitched camp outside the Fiachta Áthaclia, a green area, possibly to the west of Dublin, often thought to be in the vicinity of Kilmainham. In which case, which would seem unlikely, he was perhaps 10 kilometres from where the Norse and Leinster army were assembling to counter those of his forces, who were plundering Fingal, and there he met his chief lieutenants in assembly. Brian was then on the green of Dublin with the nobles of the Dalcaish in assembly, and with Mael Shocknail, and with Mircud and Conaig, and Taig, son of Coll, and with the nobles of Connacht together, and with the men of Munster and the men of Mead. But it happened that the men of Mead and Mael Shocknail were not of one mind with the rest. If we are to believe this, Brian's leading advisers were Mael Shocknail, whose motives, however, are suspect, Brian's senior son Mircud, his nephew Conaig, both of whom were to die with him, and the king of Connacht, Taig, in Eich Gil Uachrahuir. Although, as we have seen, the annals of Loch Kay are adamant that Tig did not join Brian on this occasion, although it may only be an error for Tig Ua Caelig, who we know from the annals was one of Brian's leading allies to fall at Clontarf. Caution is in order. Indeed, the Koga, or rather one version of the Koga, proceeds to ascribe an important leadership position to Ua Ruadh of Breifne, the only account that pretends any role for Breifne at all in these events, and it is certain that this is a reverberation of an alliance dating from 100 or more years later, intruded into the narrative at this date. There's a little map here, I'm just kind of looking at it. It might be handy to take a photo of this for next stream, because we all love maps. The Koga then gives a lengthy description of both sides as they prepare for battle, full of show-off alliterative adjectives, which, though tedious to modern tastes, one can imagine being read out aloud with gusto to an assembled audience. Here is a small part of what it says of the Norse, for example, although it does lose a lot in translation. They had for the purposes of battle and combat, and for their defiance, and for their defence, sharp, swift, bloody, crimson, bounding, barbed, keen, bitter, wounding, terrible, piercing, fatal, murderous, poisoned arrows, which had been anointed and browned in the blood of dragons and toads, and water snakes of hell, and of scorpions and otters, and wonderful venomous snakes of all kinds, to be cast and shot at active and warlike and valiant chieftains. As for Brian's forces, these had for the purposes of battle and combat above their heads spears glittering, well riveted, empoisoned with well-shaped, heroic, beautiful handles of white hazel, terrible sharp darts, and variated silken strings, thick set, with bright dazzling shining nails, to be violently cast at the heroes of valour and bravery. They had with them also great warlike, bright, beautiful, variegated shields, with bosses of brass and elegant chains of bronze, at the side of their noble, accomplished, sweet, courteous, eloquent clansmen. They had with them also crested golden helmets, set with sparkling, transparent, brilliant gems and precious stones, on the heads of chiefs and their royal knights. It's kind of like that for like 2 more paragraphs, so I'm actually just going to move on. It's a bit much. Then the 2 armies were arrayed in battle order, and the Koga proceeds to describe their formation. The enemy was drawn up in 3 battalions, the foreign troops in the van, the Dublin army next, and the Leinstermen taking up the rear. The foreigners and the Leinstermen placed in the front the murderous foreign Dinars, under Broder, Jarl of Caer Ebrok, chieftain of the Dinars, and Conmail, his mother's son, with Suakid, son of Lothar, Jarl of Inish Orc, and with Plaeth, brave champion of all the foreigners, and with Anrith, son of Aelbric, son of the king of Loch Lane, and Carlos, and Torben Dove, and Sunan, and the nobles of the foreigners of Western Europe, from Loch Lane westward along with them. A line of one very strong battalion was formed of all the foreigners of Dublin, and it was placed after the above. This is after the Denmarkians. At their head were Dubgal mac Amlaeb, and Gilla Ciron mac Glub Erin mac Mick Amlaeb, and Dunca U Erub. Oh my god. At their head also was Oter Dub and Grisson, and Lumen, and Snagir, 4 viceroys of the foreigners, and 4 commanders of fleets. I regret to inform you that you have new fan art, drawn by me and not lewd. Don't worry. Thank you, Aqua. That's very kind of you. I can't wait to see myself on a little trampoline. I do like trampolines. They're very fun. I look forward to it. Well, I assume it's the trampoline art. But thank you, Aqua. It's very kind of you. Thank you. While I'm struggling with like 60 different names. A battalion was also formed, the Leinstermen and the Ua Chenslaig, and it was placed behind the above. At the head of them were Mael Morda mac Murchada, king of Leinster, and Berthon mac Dunlain, king of Eherlagan, and Dunlaig mac Turhul, king of Liffey, and Brogarbon mac Cruhur, king of Uafailgi, and Donal mac Feargol, Goyle, king of the Tuatha Legan, and the nobles of Leinster likewise. We need not delay too long on the names, most of which we have seen before in the annal tradition. The problem, as usual, is that we cannot use the annals to verify the historiosity of the Coga's account, because of the great chicken and egg question. Did the author of the Coga incorporate them in his account, having found them in contemporary annalistic records of the battle? Or did they get woven into the annals at a later date by a writer who had access to the text of the Coga? The second explanation seems slightly more likely. Indeed, a list of the fatalities of Clontarf, based on that in the Coga, was later in circulation, and a copy of it from the 14th century survived in a Connacht manuscript in Trinity College, Dublin. The best that can be said is that some of these names, especially those of individuals allegedly drafted in for the occasion from outside Ireland, are more than suspicious looking, but that up to half of them appear to be real, and their presence at Clontarf is historically credible, if not corroborated by some other source. It is little stick figure. Oh, cute free art that you did not have to commission. Thank you, Aqua. I look forward to seeing it. I'm sure it's very cute. Precisely the same problem arises with the list of the Irish on Brian's side. At the head of these were the matchless, ever-victorious Hector of the many-nationed heroic children of Adam, namely Mircud, son of Brian. Along with him were also Terdelbuck, his son, the best Rig Domna of his time in Ireland, and Conaing Mac Donachon, one of the three men most valued by Brian that were then in Ireland, and Niall Uachuan, and Echu Mac Dundeag, and Cú Dillig Mac Kennetig, the three attendants of Brian, and Donal Mac Diarmata, king of Corcu Basind, and the greater parts of the men of bravery and valour of the Dalcash along with them. One very strong and great battalion was also formed of the chosen hosts of all Munster, and was stationed in the rear of the former. At the head of these was Motla Mac Donal Mac Micphelon, king of the Deasy, and Magnus Mac Amchada, king of Ualachen, and the brave and heroic of all Munster along with them. Hello, Ronan Higgs. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Very kind of you. The battalion of Connacht was also led by male Ruanoid Ua Hedin, and by Taig Ua Caelig, king of Uamain, and by male Ruanoid Mac Murgisa, king of Munter male Ruanoid, and by Donal Ua Croicnon, king of Ua Diarmada. Oh my god, it just keeps going with the names. Also, Fergal Ua Rourke and Ua Brian and the Conmeachna were ordered to the left wing of the army. Also, male Shocknail MacDonald, king of Tara, and the battalion of the men of Mead with him were next, but he consented not to be placed along with the rest, because the counsel of the foreigners on the preceding night was that he should put a ditch between him and the foreigners, and that if he would not attack the foreigners would not attack him, and so it was done, for the evil understanding was between them. Most names are revealed at the actions as the action. More names are revealed as the action begins to unfold. Principal among them whom is Donal Mac Aimeen, who enters the tale as if needing no introduction, even though we are casually informed later that his background was in northeastern Scotland. We are told that Brian, seeing his son Mircud press too hard ahead for just before the battle commenced, sent Donal in order for him to fall back. The implication is that Donal was attached to Brian, occupying a leadership role. Mircud, however, rejected this as cowardly retreat, the Coga's author opining, critically it would appear, that the reason why the nobles of all Desmumu were killed there was because they endeavoured to follow Mircud to surrounding the foreigners and the Denmarkians. Donal Mac Aimon then chided Mircud for his folly while praising his valour and offering to fight to the death, which was duly to occur. Then, when the contest between the two sides gets under way, it is this Donal who sees first action. For now for the first time, he is given the title Momer Alban, perhaps a sea steward of Scotland. When his death is recorded in the annals, they gave him the more precise title of Mormaer of Mar of Scotland, suggesting that the original annalist had another source of information in addition to the Koga, or, personally, perhaps knew something of Donal's background. Either way, and despite his elusiveness elsewhere in the historical record, he seems to have been a important figure. Let me have another sip of water. That is my last sip of water. Onion. In fact, according to the Koga, the very first action in the Battle of Clontarf did not involve any Irish person at all, but rather a deadly duel between this Mormaer of Mar and the Plait, son of the King of Loch Lane, whom we met in passing earlier. First then were drawn up there Donal MacEmean, Mormaer Albawn on Brian's side, and Plait, son of the King of Loch Lane, brave champion of the foreigners. Because of Plait having said the night before that there was not a man in Ireland who was able to fight him, Donal MacEmean immediately took him up, and each of them remembered this in the morning. Then Plait came forth from the battalion of the men in armour, and said 3 times, Where is Donal? That is, where is Donal? Donal answered and said, Here, you wretch, Sund ascending. Hello, Grusk Tursk. Welcome in, welcome in. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for the follow. They fought then, and each of them endeavoured to slaughter the other, and they fell by each other. And the way they fell was with the sword of each through the heart of the other, and the hair of each in the clenched hand of the other. And the combat of that pair was the first of the battle. It is interesting to see the author of the Koga trying his hand here at a bit of Old Norse. Faris from Norse haver is haveres, where is, and sninding for N-I-D with a line through it, I-N-G-or. I feel like if I said that, I would get cancelled. If I said how that looks, I might get cancelled. Wretch or scoundrel. Which might suggest contact with the Hiberno Norse settlement in Limerick. And while it is hard to imagine the Battle of Clontarf beginning with a bout of single combat between champions drawn from each side, what matters most perhaps is the prominent role ascribed to the Mormaer of Mar. In a sense, it does not matter if the story is true. What does matter is that this author thought it expedient to provide such a role. When individuals get a mention in a text, it is usually for a reason. If they crop up on Brian's side, it is often indicative of a political alliance. We must bear this in mind when examining the broad context of Clontarf. One version of the Koga then clumsily intrudes another episode, telling of the supposed great deeds accomplished by Fergal Ua Rourke and Donal Mac Ragalig and Gilla na Naim Ua Fergal, and the men of Breifna and Con Macna, in leading an assault on the forces of the Leinster prince Dunlaying Mac Tuathal of Ua Merdug, and of the Ua Chensleg. This engagement, we are told, led to mutual slaughter, both sides being almost entirely wiped out, and someone called Mac Intrin, who was the household captain of Ua Rourke, allegedly cornered Dunlaig Mac Tuathal, beheaded him, and brought the head back in triumph to Fergal. The problem is that this story seems to be, if not wholly, fictional. Dunlaig did indeed die in 1014, quite possibly of wounds received in the battle, but no other source places his death at Clontarf. Indeed, one version of the Koga later says that he received a wound of which he died, which would go without saying if he had been decapitated. In fact, there does not seem to have been a Fergal Ua Rourke at the battle, and the entire episode was probably concocted in the 12th century to serve a more contemporary purpose. It is worth noting in passing, though, that when this interpolated passage has it, that none of them paid any attention to any evil that was done at Clontarf on the day, excepting the evil and contention which they mutually occasioned against each other, is the first time that the name of Clontarf is mentioned in the Koga, and is therefore proof that the battle was known by this name, by the 12th century at least. But it is only at this point that the account of the battle begins, and the author employs some remarkably purple prose to describe the smashing of bodies, the loud din of battle, the flashing of steel that ensued, and the shower of sparks from the sword of the Dalcash that struck their opponents, coats of mail. So that, quote, it was attested by the foreigners and the foreigner women who were watching from the battlements of Dublin, as they beheld, like they used to see flashes of fire from them in the expanse of air on all sides. Such was the ferocity, we are told, in words alleged to have been spoken by male Shocknail, that within the time it takes to milk a cow, no one on either side could even recognize even his own brother or son, except by voice, so covered were they in blood. Spears could not be raised above the head, so clogged did they become with hair that floated in the strong cold wind, having been hacked by swords and axes from the heads of the enemy. That brings us to 210, which is about 20 pages. I think getting into kind of the details of the battle might be a decent place to leave for the next stream, because my voice is getting a little tired. I'm out of water. So yeah, so I'm just getting a little tired. Oh no. Okay, we're all good. I think people may be asleep or chilling out and just kind of resting. So I think I might just maybe just a little bit raid out, perhaps just a little raid. Not sure who we're going to do though. We might do someone who's doing ASMR, I think. Who's this? Have I rated this person before? I don't think so. Jaden's Story Channel. 3DO VTuber 18+. He says soft sounds, affirmation, and water globes. You know what? He is a nice model. I like his model. Ooh, I clicked the wrong button. Oh, I can bonk him. Oh, okay, I just broke my screen. That's a neat system. Neat overlay. I think we went there before. Maybe we did. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to keep track of everyone's names. The model does look very familiar, actually. The model does seem very familiar. Jaden sounds familiar too. Just Story Channel doesn't. That's the only part that doesn't sound familiar to me. But I will start the raid. We'll go raid. We'll go sub-raid. Wow, you don't even keep a notebook. I'm sorry. It's hard to remember everyone. Late, thank you for stream. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Harold. Thank you, Aqua. Thank you, Legend. Thank you for all the follows we got today, actually. We got a nice bit of follows. Just kind of throughout. But yeah, I'm gonna go get some more water and rest my voice. Maybe I have some slices of that Terry's chocolate orange that I bought earlier. I was having some before stream and it was very tasty. God, Terry's chocolate orange is so good. Oh yeah. Thank you guys for showing up. Garev Mila Mahagut and Slán Gafol. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Maybe for a normal ASMR stream. Maybe for maybe we'll finally get to play Darkest Dungeon someday. One of these days. But yeah, I'm gonna raid you guys out. See ya. Bye bye.